we're racing toward the extinction of our species. We not only lack dominion over nature, we're subordinate to it.
Colin, great to talk to you. Congratulations on the movie.
Thanks, man.
And now, Jurassic World Dominion has some incredibly fun callbacks to Jurassic Park. Can you tell me the experience you had watching that movie for the first time?
I was 16 years old, and at the time I was grounded. Do they have kids get grounded in Australia?
Yeah,
I was grounded, and I was not allowed to go see movies because that's the only thing you could take from me at the time. And my friend, who was the projectionist at the local movie theater, it's this amazing old movie house called the Grand Lake in Oakland, California, called me and said, "Listen, like, we have to show Jurassic Park tonight at midnight just to run. It was film projection. Got to run all these reels. If you can make it here at midnight, you can watch it." So I actually snuck out of my house and put like pillows beneath my covers and like the way I'd seen on TV, and rode my bike down there, and I got to watch this movie alone in this giant theater. And what was amazing about the experience is that I wanted to be a filmmaker. I was at that point where I already knew what I wanted to do, but I was also still young and still a kid. And so I started off watching it almost with like, the eye for form of a filmmaker and that cynicism that you have when you watch a movie. And then it quickly like stripped all of that away from me and turned me into a little kid again, which not a lot of movies can do.
Yeah, it's that moment when Sam Neill and Laura Dern's characters see dinosaurs for the first time. I think it's very much the eyes of the audience seeing dinosaurs for real for the first time. I think everybody who watched that film had the same experience. And so then what did it mean years later when Steven Spielberg says, okay, Colin, you just had a film at Sundance. You had a budget of about $1 million to make that film. It was great. We want to give you $150 million to helm this beloved film franchise.
I don't know if they ever wanted to give me that. I think that I went in, there was the prospect that maybe I wouldn't crash that Ferrari. And he was curious to see, what I felt about it. And there were a lot of directors at the time who were going in and talking to him about the movie. So he just, he's like, yeah, bring this kid in. He liked Safety Not Guaranteed a lot. And we had a conversation that, for whatever reason, made him feel like, I was the one to entrust with this. It's something I'll always be grateful for, and I'll never be entirely sure exactly what I said. But in later years, I did kind of ask him, and he basically said that I made a decision at the end of Safety Not Guaranteed as to whether the time machine was going to work or not. And he felt like when he saw my decision, which essentially was saying to the audience, magic is possible, that he knew I was the right kind of filmmaker for a movie like this.
Yeah. And so then not only did you not crash the Ferrari, you took it to a body shop and you sort of pimped my ride, made the Ferrari even more valuable. It made it's $1.6 billion or something. It's still one of the top 10 highest grossing films of all time. What did that mean to you as a director? And what do you think it says about the world's collective love for this franchise?
If we're going to continue with the Ferrari metaphor, I would say I tried not to change it too much and to respect what it was and to respect its design. And I've tried to do that over the course of 3 movies, even though, in some ways it's what we've been doing is unrecognizable. I believe that, it has shown an acknowledgement for its origin and for the shoulders of giants that we're standing on at every step of the way. It's something that's been important to me and is just kind of intrinsic in my process and the way that I think about it. And I think that, if we ever get too close to the third rail, too close to the edge of betraying the values of Michael Crichton's book and Steven Spielberg's movie, I'll recognize it. The fans will recognize it. We'll pull back and make sure that we try to invent, but in a space that feels right to all of us who love it.
Are you talking about the shoulders of giants? The giants in this film, of course, are Sam Neill and Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum, who make their return. Tell me about having them on set and how careful you were writing and bringing those characters back to the screen.
Well, we we did it in such a collaborative way that by the time we got on set, we'd been working together for so long, and in the case of this movie, living together for a long time. So we had a language, we had an understanding of what we were all trying to achieve. I feel like I no matter how much I think I know these characters, they are the authority on these characters. And so, I would never tell Laura Dern what Ellie Sattler would think or feel. In a lot of ways, I would ask her, and we would talk about, what she wanted to achieve. And then I would tell her what Emily and I, my co-writer, were trying to achieve. And we would always find a way that ultimately what was represented on screen felt organic to them, felt honest to them, and also felt like it was serving the story that we were telling and not pushing, back against it.
And this is going to be a hard question for you to answer. It's like picking a favorite child. But what is your favorite dinosaur in the movie?
In the new film, in Dominion?
Yeah, in the new film.
I really like the Therizinosaurus, which is the one with the long claws. Partially because my experience creating it was so exciting. It was the first time that we'd had feathers on a dinosaur. It also has a totally different shape and feel to anything else we'd seen before. And so we really, knowing that whatever we did here was going to be the Therizinosaurus that kids were going to know, and in a lot of cases, play with as toys well into the future, because that's just what Jurassic Park does. We felt a big responsibility to create something that, that earned its place in the pantheon, alongside, T-Rex and all of these amazing creatures that I loved when I was young and that kids have been playing with for 30 years.
And what does it mean to you to know that some people will watch this film and go, oh, okay, that Therizinosaurus, that's a Hollywood concoction there. And then they do their research afterwards and find out, no, hang on a minute, this is actually based on the science and how carefully you worked with experts in this field to craft the most realistic, authentic dinosaurs.
I hope they do that research. I hope that this inspires kids and young people especially to become amateur paleontologists and hopefully professional scientists and get into all of our natural history and understanding it better. I think it's one of the great advantages that we have as a franchise is that we're science-based and we're able to use it as a door, as a window to understanding, our natural history better, which, for me, gives it meaning.
And the process of actually choosing the dinosaurs that'll make it into the film, like, do you have a Rolodex of species that you go, hey, this will actually be incorporated into the script in a really fun way because of its sort of attributes?
I think the Rolodex is in my head and it's in my memory, and it's based on, now, 8 or 9 years of being in this franchise and learning about it, in some cases, new dinosaurs that were discovered between Jurassic World and now, the Dreadnoughtus that Kenneth Lachman discovered, being able to a combination of taking everything that I have learned and that I know, and then kind of just sitting in a sandbox, and just picking up in the other and mash them together like I used to. And like, this feels good. Let's do this.
I hope that is literally how the script came together. You had the art department make little models for you. That'd be amazing.
You'd be surprised.
Now, of course, you've got a blend of animatronics and CG effects in this film. Like, what was the significance of using animatronics? What does that add?
Well, I mean, for the actors on set, it gives them a chance to interact with and react against something that's real, that's there. For the audience, I think I think they look, I don't want to say better because I think ILM is doing extraordinary work, but there's something about them that is undeniably real. And even if in some cases, they might have looked a little sleeker if they'd been animated. I like the imperfections. I like that that it's really there taking up space. And so we used animatronics whenever we could. It gave us an opportunity to have dinosaurs out of focus in the background and just make the world feel completely immersive. These movies have done very well, and when that happens, you get resources that maybe you didn't have 2 movies ago. And so on this movie, we did have a little bit more at our fingertips, and so my answer was just like, more animatronics, let's go.
And as the director, do you get to keep one of those, just like to put in the front garden of your home? to scare the postman?
I wish I could. They actually deteriorate, which makes me very sad. And like we actually have had conversations of is there a way that we could actually like vacuum seal one of these things so the elements can't affect it and we can put it in a museum, because they all belong in a museum. I tend to I'll keep like one thing. And I do have some really beautiful, like hand-painted maquettes that ILM makes as lighting references that are gorgeous. But on this film, I kept a prosthetic arm that one of the dinosaurs has in the movie that was made, in that world, which is probably my favorite prop that I may ever have.
Well, I think that's very understated. I think I read somewhere that Michael Bay has got a fully sized transformer on his front lawn.
Probably. We're very, we in our family, we try not to allow you to like walk into our house and be like, oh, I get what he does. There's little things here and there.
You might need to upgrade the house if you're going to have a Dreadnoughtus or something like that. Of course, one of the successes of the Jurassic World franchise is the actors, the human characters. And you've had such incredible performances from Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard as your leads. Tell me about what they bring to this movie.
Well, Chris and Bryce and I, in a lot of ways, have grown up together. Making these movies. We all have kids who are roughly the same age. And they were all, 2 when we made the first movie. And now they're all in their, 12, 13 years old. Chris's son and my daughter are the same age, around 9. And so us growing up as people, the characters growing up and becoming parents on their own, like you can see the themes and the way that they've evolved and changed reflected in the way that we've all evolved and changed. And I know that when we're all old and gray, should we be fortunate enough to make it that far, we'll be able to look back at these movies and really see a chapter in our lives, open and then shut. So I'm just very grateful. I love both of them. I think they're both incredible actors and movie stars, which is like a skill unto itself, and friends.
And Chris has some great action sequences, but there's a couple of scenes for Bryce that I thought were just so Jurassic Parky, just like so cool. And there's one where she's being stalked by a Therizinosaurus crawling along the ground and disappears into this sort of puddle or pond. Yeah. What were you focused on when you were making that particular scene?
When she and I talked about it, I Claire is the main character of each of the movies in this franchise and of the franchise. The story starts with her, and she is the engine of it. And my relationship with Bryce in making these 3 movies is pretty unique in the level of collaboration between actor and director that's taken place in building that character. And when we reached this, it was it's about 2/3 of the way through the 3rd movie, and it was the point in a concert when there would just be like a long drum solo. And I was like, we're just going to do a drum solo right now, like you and me. And so it's quiet, it's still, it's suspenseful. It kind of takes everything that I've learned or believe a sequence in a Jurassic movie should be. And it's something we're both very proud of.
Yeah, it's great. And then how did you make the ejector seat sequence, which it looks so incredibly realistic. Like it's amazing.
Well, everything about that, is real to a certain extent. We had a rig that we put her in that had this, was moving all over the place, and so she was reacting to something that was happening with air and lights moving all around her. So it was probably about almost as scary for her as ejecting out of a plane, and we wanted to make sure she felt safe. But the performance to me, especially. We didn't want it to feel digital. We didn't want to feel like there was a privileged camera moving all around her. So we just made a choice to have every camera be locked to the actual chair, as if we really did it. And I think the result of that is what makes it feel like you're with her, because you're literally with her the whole time.
Yeah, it looked like real fear in her eyes, I've got to say.
Well, and so one of the best we have.
and so, Colin, tell me, finally, what do you hope people take away from this particular film, Jurassic World Dominion?
I think we say it pretty clearly at the end of the movie. I feel like we're in a moment when we've been wielding science either responsibly or irresponsibly for some time as humans, and we are now looking at an ecological balance that has been disrupted and is struggling in a lot of ways, and in many ways is because of the choices that we've made as humans over the past, several thousand years, but most recently especially. And the only way we're going to be able to survive is if we do it together, and we find a way to coexist and treat our little sliver of time on this planet responsibly and with respect.
Yeah, or we'll be as extinct as the dinosaurs. Colin, thank you so
sentence.
much for the chat today. Congratulations again on the movie. Take care.